What's up, guys? Welcome back to Michigan Muckraker. Today is January 9th of 2024, and when I was in the military, there was a saying that I'll never forget that I was taught, and that is there are three sides to every story: his side, her side, and the truth. And so today we're going to try to find the truth in this chaos that's ensuing in the Michigan GOP. So, full disclosure, I am libertarian leaning. I am not a Republican. However, what's happening in the Michigan GOP is very concerning because, from what I know, Kristina Karamo was a grassroots pick. So, we're going to get into all of this. We're going to start out with a Detroit Free Press article. I think it's important to understand the official narrative before we start diving into the other side of the coin. I also have a report called the Warren Report that a reliable source sent to me, and I'm going to share that with you. I think this is the same source that Laura Loomer is kind of leaking, but I'm not sure. So I'll share it with you and we'll find out, right? If you don't know who Laura Loomer is, she is very active on Twitter, and you will know by the end of this video who exactly she is. So before I jump in, first and foremost, I want to say it marks officially 1 year today since I started this live stream. I watched a lot of Think Media, and the number one piece of advice was to just get the courage up and hit record. And after like a year of contemplating, I finally did on January 9th of 2023. So thank each and every one of you for watching. It's been a hell of a year, a very good time. I've learned a lot, and I still have a lot to learn. So I'm looking forward to this year. I spoke about it more in my 2024 goals video, so I'm not going to hound on it here, but thank you. That's all I wanted to say. Dragonfly, hey, thank you for hanging out. And I agree. She says, I'm assuming that you are agreeing with the three sides to every story. And yeah, I'll never forget that one. So, first and foremost, let's jump into this article from the Detroit Free Press. So this came out on the 6th, which all of this happened. Okay, we're going to jump into this first. The 6th of January being, of course, a very important day for the Republicans. So it's very weird that they chose that date to try to kick Kristina Karamo out of the GOP chair. Happy anniversary, and thank you for all you do. Thank you for hanging out, Dragonfly. I do this for people like you, and so we can share information, because this is an information war, and it's important to try to understand what's going on and try to find the truth. So I love you guys. Thank you. GOP state committee members vote to remove Chair Kristina Karamo at contested meeting. Members of the Michigan Republican State Committee voted on Saturday to remove the state party chair, Kristina Karamo, saying it is time to stop the bleeding, and a change at the top is needed to improve GOP performance in the November 5th election. Mark Fortin, chairman of the Macomb County Republican Party, said he has long been a supporter of Karamo and still admires her, but he ultimately concluded she has to be removed because of the people around her. We have an election in 2024, and up until now, the state party hasn't addressed any part of it, Fortin said. But the special meeting of the state party's governing committee had already been declared null and void by Karamo and her supporters. Karamo, who took office 11 months ago, said the meeting at a hall in western Oakland County was not convened in accordance with the party's bylaws. She did not attend Saturday's session and pointed to an unauthorized special state committee meeting set for January 13th. So that meeting is still going on, and that January 13th is this Saturday. State committee members, not including proxies, voted 40-5 to remove Karamo. Several attendees leaving the meeting told the Free Press. They also voted to remove Dan Hartman, the general counsel, who attended the meeting to speak on Karamo's behalf, and Jim Kopas, the party's executive director. Melinda Pago, I'm hoping I'm saying that right, The state party co-chair from Muskegon County will serve as acting chair until a new chair is selected, officials said. But Karamo has not accepted the results and has vowed to fight them. So for now, Saturday's action signals further strife and disarray, and possibly another in a long list of lawsuits and a party riven by divisions, as its power has cratered in Michigan. Just before the 2018 election, the GOP controlled both chambers of the state legislature, plus the offices of governor, attorney general, and secretary of state. After the 2022 election, that full control was held by Michigan Democrats. Now, none of that is Karamo's fault, but I'm going to continue. The Republican National Committee, which could play a role by indicating whether it recognizes Saturday's meeting and voting as legitimate, did not immediately respond to question about the meeting sent to an RNC spokeswoman. State committee members who listed anemic fundraising, interference in county party business, and a lack of transparency among reasons for ousting Karamo did not allow news media inside the meeting room. So from what I hear, Kristina Karamo is actually going to have another meeting, or is going to be talking to the grassroots on the 22nd, and media is allowed. Now, maybe the 13th media isn't. We'll have to see. But I think that that's something that's kind of telling if you allow the media in or not. Karamo's standing appeared to dip further Saturday when the state GOP floated a plan, which faced immediate criticism, to move the selection of more party candidates away from the primary elections to party caucuses. Though it appears fundraising under Karamo has continued to deteriorate, a Free Press analysis published at the time she was elected chair showed the once mighty Michigan GOP financial machine was already in serious trouble. So I'm glad that they put that, and I am going to share some information on that. Because right off the rip, as soon as Kristina Karamo was in, there was already financial issues. And again, we're going to get into exactly why there's continuing to be issues. And I don't think it's Karamo's fault. Karamo supporters said Saturday they learned from contacts inside the meeting that district chairs appointed proxies for state committee members who did not attend, without seeking or receiving approval from the state committee members who had their voting powers assigned to someone else. They are trying to hoodwink the entire state party, said Darlene Dotzel, a state committee member from Shelby Township. She said she stayed away from the meeting because she supports Karamo and believes the meeting was unlawful, but learned her vote was assigned to a Karamo opponent. She then rushed to the meeting to cast her own vote for Karamo, but said she believes other state committee members had their votes assigned to others in the way her vote almost was. Fishy things, fishy things. Yeah, when you type into Google Michigan GOP chairwoman, or even the Michigan GOP, I'll show you. You can see where the mainstream media is coming from, what the official narrative is. And of course, Kristina Karamo bad, as it has been since she's been in there. Jerry, good info. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for hanging out, Jerry. I have so much more. I've unearthed a lot. So I just wanted to get the official story out there first, and then I'm going to show you some things. In cases where Tom Norton, a former Republican primary candidate for Congress in the 2nd District who is working with the Karamo opponents, said as long as a state committee member filled out a proxy form, they could choose who voted for them in their place. In cases where no proxy forms were filled out, the relevant district chair could fill those voting spots with an eligible person of their choosing, he said. No proxy form was received from Dotzel, he said. The state committee was just over 100 members, and removing Karamo requires a 75% vote. Dissidents said they believe they had that much support, but also voted Saturday to amend the party bylaws to lower the threshold for removal to 60%. Amending the party bylaws requires a 2/3 vote. In both cases, the thresholds apply to the number of voting members in attendance. The proxy votes were used to achieve a quorum for the meeting. Dr. Philip O'Halloran, a state committee member who supports Karamo, said the party chair did not have access to donor lists, loan information, campaign finance reporting software, and other key assets when she first took office because the previous administration took their toys and went home. Early on, she decided not to use the former party headquarters in Lansing, which is owned by a trust controlled by former party chairs. Karamo is now backing a lawsuit seeking to wrest control of the building from the trust. This is all really important stuff that a lot of these articles are not publishing because, of course, what they're saying is Kristina Karamo is a QAnon conspiracy theorist, election denier, yada, yada, yada. Quite awful. And you know what? As a human being, one human being to another, I really do feel for Kristina Karamo. I could not imagine being attacked in the way that she's being attacked. She is a human being, you know? She's got a heart, soul, and mind. Anyway, the state party, for a time, divided between Tea Party Republicans and mainstream conservatives, and later split MAGA, Make America Great Again, adherents of Donald Trump, and those who do not enthusiastically support the former president, is now mostly divided among competing MAGA factions. Karamo, who denies President Joe Biden was the lawful winner of the 2020 presidential election and has refused to concede her own 14-point defeat in the 2022 election for the Secretary of State, is an ardent Trump supporter. So are the most vocal leaders of the attempts to remove her, many of whom also back Trump's unsupported claims that 2020 election was stolen. So again, this is absolutely true. I know individuals that are huge Trump supporters, just like Kristina Karamo is, as far as I know. And they also, they're very adamant about watching out for rhinos. And so these are people that really, truly, they believe they're grassroots too. That's what is so concerning about this, is now that there's a split in the grassroots themselves. And of course, the establishment loves it, right? So we always have to ask who benefits. The establishment definitely benefits from all of this strife. Dragonfly says, as a wife in the municipality worker in the water insure division, also works elections and has witnessed things, and now he has been harassed so bad. Yes, and no problem. I hope that she says, sorry if I've misspelled. I just had a major surgery on my right hand, knuckle replacement, so I'm typing left-handed, but he works for a township. Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot more has come out since it is election year about the last election being shady. We'll just say shady. So there's no doubt that that's also to cause chaos this election year. Just like they waited until election year to release January 6th tapes, this is all so that this election year is as chaotic as possible. Drives me crazy. And they're all in on it, obviously. If the Speaker of the House still hasn't released all the documents, all the footage for January 6th. But anyway, not going to get in that side tangent. The individuals, again, that I know, there are some that are 100% for Kristina Karamo, and there are some that are 100% against. They're both considered grassroots from my estimation, but something shady is is dividing them. Saturday's vote was taken on the 3-year anniversary. Here, they got to put this little bit in here for you, and I'll read it. Of the violent attack on the U.S. Capitol, in which Trump supporters attempted to stop the official count of the nation's election results, showing Biden the winner. Among the indictments Trump now faces one that accuses him of spreading lies that fueled the riots and exploiting it to further his own aims on unlawfully remaining in power. Trump is the leading GOP contender to the 2024 presidential nominee. Now, you guys, if you've been here any length of time, I'm not a Trump supporter, but all of these accusations are bull. Spreading lies. If spreading lies was a jailable offense, then every single politician would be in jail right now. So that all of that's going to be cleared, in my opinion, but we're going to jump into this. This is the Warren Report. So according to the other grassroots people that want Karamo out, this is where they are coming from. This is what they see. The failed leadership of the Karamo administration. Kristina Karamo rose to the chairperson of the Michigan Republican Party on a wave of excitement around her promises of transparency, trust, conservative values, and a new fundraising direction that would put the party in the hands of the people who she believed have been traditionally disenfranchised rather than a few wealthy individuals. Unfortunately, Ms. Karamo's promises have not come true. She has created a small governing group of operatives. She has created a small governing group that operates in secret and essentially makes all operational decisions and takes all actions without regard to the party's bylaws and governing documents and without full transparency with the party committees, state committee, and delegates. In addition, despite fanciful promises of raising tens of millions, her financing plan has completely failed, which has put the party at an imminent risk of defaulting on its line of credit and potentially needing to declare bankruptcy. Further, rather than surround herself with the effective people experienced in operating parties and political committees, her governing group has no such experience and has put the party and its partners in a position of facing significant civil and criminal consequences for failing to follow state and federal law. Problems out of the gate. On February 22nd, 2023, a day before Ms. Karamo began her duties as party chair, the Weiser administration paid down the existing debt on the party's line of credit with Comerica Bank by approximately $1.9 million. That left approximately $459,600 owed on the letter of credit. The Weiser administration left approximately $329,270 in the party's account when Karamo began her duties as party chair. Rather than use the remaining amount to pay down the debt on the line of credit, Ms. Karamo chose to spend the money on operating costs. The problem is that Ms. Karamo then publicly attacked Mr. Weiser, accusing him of saddling her with almost $500,000 in debt. As explained above, Ms. Karamo's accusation was not accurate. Mr. Weiser left enough funds in the party's account for Ms. Karamo to pay down the debt on the line of credit to only $130,000. I don't understand this paragraph. They left approximately $459,000 owed, and the administration left $329,000 in the account. So that means that they are negative $130,000. I'm not good at math. I will completely admit that 100%. But that's what I'm reading. And to me, it sounds like Ms. Karamo was right. She started with $500,000 worth of debt. And there's videos I'm going to show you and articles where even the Detroit Free Press and, Fox News was saying that she started out in the negative. Like the Republican Party was already screwed when it came to money when she got in. This amount of remaining debt is less than the amount of debt the party had at this time of year in 2021. For example, good morning, Kelly. Thank you for joining me. Just to catch you up, we're reading the Warren Report, which is a report that I got from the grassroots side that is someone in the grassroots side that is trying to get Karamo out of there. This amount of remaining debt is less than the amount, The party then paid that debt off over the course of a few months through fundraising activity. So the amount of debt that Ms. Karamo inherited, if she would have used that remaining fund to pay down the debt, was much less than in 2021. Again, though, if you pay down the debt and then you only have, let's say that math was correct, that she has $130,000 in the positive, which I don't see that, but let's say it. That's still not any money whatsoever. I mean, let's face it. Like we're trillions of dollars in debt. And it takes $500,000, allegedly only $500,000, just to become like a candidate for any kind of election. The system is for rich people, basically. But 100,000, she was supposed to work miracles with that. Okay. This is an important point to begin with because although Ms. Karamo ran on the platform of transparency, partnership, and trust, she began her tenure as chair by immediately creating divisiveness between the prior administration and its supporters and making non-transparent statements. Well, if the previous administration was establishment, like, this is a grassroots versus establishment situation, is it not? Again, everything I know is Kristina Karamo was voted in by grassroots groups that wanted someone that was not establishment. A change, a real change, not an Obama change, okay? As will be described in further detail below, this behavior has declined further to the point that, in only a matter of a few months, the party is essentially non-functional, and worse yet, the party and others associated with the party are now facing potential civil and criminal consequences for breaking laws. If the establishment people like DeVos, if those major fundraisers will not back the grassroots pick, does that mean we should kick out the grassroots pick, or that we should put pressure on people like DeVos? Like, who's in charge here? Are you in charge, DeVos? Money raisers, rich people that are supposed to help the GOP? Or are you going to actually support what the grassroots, what the people want? Well, obviously DeVos is not. And there's another one as well that is not supporting the GOP. Lack of fundraising and continued debt. Upon becoming party chair, Ms. Karamo developed a financing plan for funding the party. That plan admits the party had raised $20 million over the past 2 years, but criticized past fundraising as primarily coming from large donors. Ms. Karamo's plan had 7 points. Expand the donor pool. Use the already established precinct up statewide Karamo network to cultivate and maintain donors. Increase the working value of every dollar raised. Appropriate funds ethically to win elections. Provide transparency in funding expenditures. Deliver ongoing communications and marketing. And restore trust. Her being attacked in this way, they don't want that to happen. They don't want to restore trust. They want to keep the donor pool small. This is just my ideas. You are a beautiful thinking human being, and you never outsource your thinking. So I am very much, I'm not a fence sitter. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I think as well throughout this entire video, as I always do. But you don't have to agree with me, and we can get along just fine. You know, I appreciate having different opinions and different thought processes so that we can level up together by sharing them. But I have to admit that the more I read, the more Karamo seems to be exactly what she says, and that there is something very nefarious that's attacking her. And that's where I stand. Ms. Karamo claimed, and that there are people that have the best intentions in mind, okay? The grassroots people on both sides, they do, I believe, they're human beings that have the best intentions. They want Michigan to be a good place to live. So there's no doubt about that. What there is a doubt about is the information that these people that want Karamo out, what they believe. That is where there's doubt. Because I don't think that the information they have and that they're believing is correct. I think it's a plant, but proving that, very difficult. Got a lot to share. Ms. Karamo claimed that her financing plan would begin to generate between $12 million and $60 million annually after a 60-day infrastructure ramp-up time. Her plan focused on 496,000 small business owners in Michigan that she claimed are Republican-leaning and would each contribute between $10 and $50 to the party monthly. Ms. Karamo's plan further detailed that it would generate the following amounts. COVID decimated small business, and the gap between the rich and the poor, there's almost no middle class. So unfortunately for Kristina Karamo, you know, the empire is kind of collapsing. We're in this phoenix phase where the phoenix is molting and pretty soon is going to burst into fire, and then comes out the baby and we make a new plan, right? The fact is, small businesses probably don't have money anymore, or they're going out of business. That's happening left or right. And people don't have money. So it's really unfortunate. The rich in this way also are solidifying their power in almost every way possible. They're like cutting off the ladders to go up, you know, the American dream, to go up the ladder. It's like they're up there, ha ha ha, and they're cutting it down. That's how I envision it. initial 60-day capital injection. And I will leave all this in the Substack, which will be out before I go to bed. I will have the Substack with all of this information out so that you can read it for yourself, because there's a lot down below that I myself don't really understand because it's legal stuff, but maybe you will. Ms. Karamo's financing plan has been an epic failure. First, her efforts to expand the donor pool and use Karamo Network to cultivate and maintain donors has not provided enough funding to support even basic party functions, let alone paying off the party's debt and actually helping Republican candidates. Under her plan, from March through October of this year, the Karamo administration has only raised $185,743, which is $8 million less than what the party should have raised under Ms. Karamo's plan. $8.8 million, almost $9 million. Even compared to the party's previous fundraising efforts, $185,000 is an historically low amount. For example, during the same period in 2021, the party raised $1,360,000 in its regulated state account, and an additional $471,000 in its regulated federal account. Again, people, though, are very broke. Small amount of people have all the money, so it is different this time than even 4 years ago. That's a total of $1,831,517, which is almost 10 times the amount that Ms. Karamo raised. If funds raised by the Mackinac Leadership Conference are factored in, the discrepancy would be even greater, as the party raised significantly more funds in its administrative account for just the conference in 2021. Well, Ms. Karamo didn't have any money to, unfortunately, pay the people. So, like, Dinesh D'Souza didn't show up, I heard. Several people didn't show up because they didn't get paid. It's a doom spiral that they've got her in, a doom spiral. Ms. Karamo's financing plans, I think I just read that, didn't I? Sorry. Second, Ms. Karamo has not increased the working value of each dollar raised. Although Ms. Karamo has raised little to date, even what she has raised has not been spent wisely. For example, on March 31st, Mr. Karamo paid a business called For Liberty $74,000 for undisclosed services, and has since claimed that the services are subject to non-disclosure agreement and cannot be discussed. That's true. I don't like that. I don't like NDAs, so I will call that out. You are working for us. I don't believe in NDAs, even if you're trying to, let's say, go against the establishment, and that's why I'm just not for it. The information should be public. You're a public figure. Since then, the party paid For Liberty an additional $1,744 on May 17th and $12,551 on June 21st for digital management. For Liberty is a business associated with Joe Moss, the leader of Ottawa Impact and the person who nominated Ms. Karamo for chair at the convention. Ms. Karamo has been accused of paying off political allies rather than engaging in arm's-length transactions with vendors based on who can provide the best value to the party. Indeed, Ms. Karamo has had months to explain how the payments to Mr. Moss's business were a good value to the party. Unfortunately, she has provided little detail, but rather displayed a callous disregard for the concerns that have been raised. Another example is primary fundraising consultants. The party's November 30th profit and loss statement shows Ms. Karamo said Ms. Karamo paid primal fundraising consultants a total of $26,322 from March to November. The same statement shows Primal Fundraising has only brought in a total of $1,000 in contributions from March to November. That isn't good. Again, if that's true, obviously that's not a good turnaround. It's unclear what further value Primal Fundraising consultants may have provided to the party, but paying a fundraising consultant over $26,000 to raise $1,200 is a significant waste of funds. As has been the case with most expenditures, Ms. Karamo has not been forthright with any details on the payments, let alone providing any explanation as to how the payments provided a good value to the party. These are just two glaring examples of Ms. Karamo's failure to increase the working value of each dollar raised. Her lack of transparency with finances precludes a full analysis of additional examples. Regardless, her actions make clear that the concept of increasing value was just a platitude rather than a commitment. Good morning. I'm late for class. You are. We right now are going through the Warren Report, so sit down, have a seat, get your pencil and paper out, and I'll deal with you after class. So, third, Ms. Karamo has apparently not appropriated funds ethically and has not provided transparency in funding and expenditures and has not acted in a manner that restores trust. For example, the Karamo Governing Group's recent balance sheets and profit loss statements show that they have likely coordinated a significant federal campaign finance violation. A comparison of the Karamo Governing Group October 31 and November 30th balance sheets show that the party received $278,536 of regulated federal contributions in November. Upon information and belief, the vast majority of this amount was received in the last few days of November, leading up to Ms. Karamo's scheduled state committee meeting, which did not occur for the lack of quorum. The Karamo Governing Group of October 31st first profit and loss statement showed that it had received a total of $41,000 from major donors from March to October. The Karamo Governing Group's November 30 profit loss statement, however, showed that major donors gave $263,203 in November. The only other source of income identified in November 30 profit loss statement, $20,000 for the state convention and $19,000 in small contributions. Accordingly, the vast majority of November contributions into the federal account came from one or more major donors. Again, people don't have money. It's unfortunate. We can provide time, but money is hard to come by right now. Under applicable federal campaign finance laws, a person is limited to contributing to a total of $10,000 to a state party's federal committee account. As has been the Karamo Governing Group's practice, the Budget Committee was not given any detail with regard to the recent influx of funds into the party's federal account from one or more major donors. And the Budget Committee has not been given access to the party's books as is required by the party's bylaws. Upon information and belief, however, most of the November contribution to the party's federal account came from a single donor. If a major donor contributed to the party's federal account in an amount exceeding $10,000, the federal contribution limits were violated. So, this is all allegedly, I guess. I'm not really sure. I can't figure out if it's illegal or not. Now, there are documents down below that hopefully we can get to. In addition, not only has Ms. Karamo refused to be fully transparent with regards to finances to the party, but she has failed to ensure that the party accurately reports all the party's contributions, expenditures, and other financial activity according to the state and financial campaign laws. As an example is the initial $74,000 payment for Liberty. This payment has not been reported on any of the party's campaign finance reports, which is a significant compliance issue. There is a myriad of additional examples, as are more fully explained throughout the analysis below. Ms. Karamo's lack of transparency in reporting of the party's finances has virtually eliminated, rather than restored, trust in the party. Further, the party's overall financial position is incredibly concerning. The party is now in a significant negative financial operating position and has amassed a total debt of at least $619,000. According to the party's October 31st profit and loss statement, the party has a negative operating balance from March through October of $105,623. Even more troubling, just for the month of October, the party is reporting that it had a negative operating balance of $48,878. So the party's financial condition has been dire and is getting worse. In the November 30 profit, loss, and loss statement, the Karamo Governing Group claims to have a net positive operating balance of $71,228, which would still be unacceptable compared to what the party should have been at this point in time. But as explained above, this claimed net positive operating balance assumes the acceptance of what appears to be illegal contributions. If so, those amounts cannot be used by the party. Lots of problems. Either way, the party is in insolvent position when the party's debt is taken into account. The principal amount owed to the party's line of credit with Comerica Bank has grown to approximately $509,000. Top of that, as explained below, the Lynette R. Wilson Trust loaned the party $110,000 for Mr. Caviezel. I should know how to say it. He's been in the news a lot. The Sound of Freedom actor, also Passion of the Christ actor, was paid $110,000. He was the only one that was paid, I guess, to speak at the Mackinac Leadership Conference. The party has not repaid that loan. Therefore, according to the party's own numbers, its current debt is $618,000. This amount of debt at this point is an odd year. In an odd year is incredibly high. The party has customarily had some debt at the beginning of an odd year, raised funds to repay that debt by mid-year, and then raised additional funds to be healthy financial condition going into an election year. The Karamo administration has driven the party into an unsustainable financial operating position. The party cannot continue to operate any longer at this rate. Ms. Karamo's financial plan has been a complete failure, and she has no new plan to bring the party back. If Ms. Karamo is allowed to continue following her failed plan, the party will endure additional financial losses and the creation of more debt, and ultimately the effective end of the party. What seemed impossible at the beginning of 2023 has now become a reality in only 9 months. Defaulting on the line of credit. Let me see here. I'm going to go down just a little bit. We'll see. We got the mismanagement of the Mackinac Leadership Conference, the party's mishandling of the former headquarters, lack of transparency in operating outside party process, and then secretive governing group. We need to get into that. Authoritarian leadership, no transparency. These are some big allegations. Ms. Karamo simultaneously president of organizations supporting Democrats. That come from Laura Loomer. Let's see. Conclusion. Okay, so it isn't long, and then after that, I'll show you. There's bank statements. So hopefully I could share all that. I guess I should know. It was shared to me, and so I should be able to share it to you. I'm a person of the public, so to me, it makes sense that I should be able to share it. All right, defaulting on the line of credit. As explained above, the party owes approximately $509,000 on its line of credit with Comerica Bank. Unfortunately, the Karamo administration has yet made any payments on the principal of this debt. In fact, the Karamo administration made interest-only payments on the line of credit sporadically in May, June, August, and September in varying amounts, totaling only $16,466. During that same period, the principal balance of the line of credit grew by an additional $49,400. November 22nd, Comerica's bank attorney sent a letter and notice of default to the party indicating that the party currently owes $509,000 in principal, $9,000 in unpaid interest, and $707 in late fees. The unpaid interest and late fees accrued when the party failed to make any payments in October and November. Although Comerica Bank is within its rights to initiate collection actions against the party, it stated in November 22nd letter that the party can cure the payment defaults by bringing the unpaid interest current, paying the late fees, and making its December 1st interest payment due date. After receiving the notice of default, it's well known that Ms. Karamo called an emergency meeting of the Budget Committee to discuss the imminent default on its line of credit for non-payment. Despite being given the opportunity to cure the defaults by Commercial Bank, Ms. Karamo presented only 2 options to the Budget Committee. The first is to use the former headquarters as collateral to pay off the line of credit, which, as explained below, is a meritless argument and would cause a major civil and criminal campaign finance violation. So many rules and bureaucratic bull. The second is to charge each precinct delegate between $130 and $150 to cover the debt, which she has no authority to require. Of course, Ms. Karamo did not give the Budget Committee the full story. But what is more shocking about the 2 options she gave is that they assume the party cannot raise the funds necessary under Ms. Karamo's plan or otherwise cover the debt. The party has always been able to do this. Again, This to me is just the establishment sending a clear message. Put who we want in, or we'll choke you. We'll cut you off at the knees. Upon information and belief, the party had not cured the payment defaults that Comerica Bank has graciously allowed. If that is true, Ms. Karamo had put the party at serious risk of an immediate collection action by Comerica Bank. In Michigan, if a borrower defaults on a note covering a line of credit, the lender has several options to collect depending on what loan documents have been executed. Once a default occurs, the lender will typically accelerate the entire amount due. Then a lender usually starts with a demand letter demanding that the borrower and any guarantee, I'm not even sure, pay the indebtedness due. If the borrower still fails to pay, then the lender will start exercising its rights under its various loan documents. Depending on what loan documents are executed, those documents will direct the lender's course of action. Assuming no security. If there is no security, i.e., the note is an unsecured note, the lender would simply file a lawsuit against the borrower to recover the debt due. Assuming a mortgage. If the borrower owns real property and the lender has a mortgage on the property, then the lender could do a foreclosure of that mortgage. If there is a power of sale clause in the mortgage, then the lender can do a foreclosure by advertisement. If there is no power of sale clause, unlikely, then the lender can only do a judicial foreclosure, i.e., lawsuit to foreclose on the mortgage. If the lender decides to foreclose by advertisement, the lender cannot file a lawsuit to recover the money due until the foreclosure is completed. Then the lender could file a deficiency lawsuit. Assuming a security agreement, personal property. If the bank has a security interest in personal property, then the lender would file a claim in the lawsuit for claim and delivery among the claim for the amount due under the note. If the lender receives a claim and delivery judgment, then the sheriff would seize the property and the lender can control the auction process. And lastly, assuming a, warranty? That doesn't sound right. I'm sorry. If the bank has this, the lender would file a lawsuit against the guarantor as well for the amount due, in addition to the claims against the borrower. Once a judgment is received, then the lender can begin collection efforts, including garnishments. The judgment creditor could garnish bank accounts, garnish counterparties to contracts that owe the borrower money, etc. Requests in order to seize property allows the sheriff to seize non-exempt personal property of the borrower and sell the personal property at auction. The judgment lasts for 10 years and can be renewed for another 10. As explained below, the party does not own its former headquarters, and that property otherwise cannot be used as collateral for the line of credit. Further, although any loan documents pertaining to the line of credit had not been made available to the Budget Committee or otherwise, it is assumed that there is no guarantor for the line of credit. So, the party is likely facing a lawsuit from Comerica Bank to collect on the debt. This lawsuit will likely include a judgment for the sheriff to seize all the party's assets for sale at auction and also a garnishment of the party's bank accounts and amounts that third parties owe the party. Under this scenario, the party will have little choice but to declare bankruptcy. As a desperate attempt to address the amount owed to Comerica Bank on December 8th, Mr. Hartman sued Comerica Bank, Seymour Street LLC, and the Michigan Republican Party Trust, claiming that the party does not owe anything to Comerica Bank and that the party owes the former headquarters. Mr. Hartman's complaint, brought on behalf of the party, is based on assumed evidence and otherwise on either incorrect or unintelligible legal theories. His lawsuit will not be successful. Even if he was successful, however, the former headquarters is a corporately funded asset and cannot be used to make an expenditure by the party. As explained below, this would be a felony under Michigan law. Accordingly, Mr. Hartman's lawsuit is a complete waste of resources and a significant embarrassment to the party. The mismanagement of the Mackinac Leadership Conference, I'm actually going to skip this for time's sake. Again, I will have this in my Substack article so you can read it. The party's mishandling of the former headquarters. It is widely known that Ms. Karamo chose not to use the party's former headquarters owned by Seymour Street LLC, but rather than cooperate with the owners of the former headquarters on how to transition the party to a new location, Ms. Karamo engaged in activity ranging from indifference to outright hostility. For example, without notifying the owners, Ms. Karamo allowed the electricity to be shut off for the building. The locks for the building are electronic, so the building and its contents were left open to the public, putting the building's assets at risk and failing to even give the owners the common courtesy of notifying them the electricity was shut off is completely inconsistent with the fiduciary responsibility of the party chair or being a good neighbor. The owners discovered the situation only after the police called them. In addition, upon information and belief, the Karamo administration unilaterally canceled the insurance policy on the building without even discussing the issue with the owners. To make matters worse, when the owners were finally informed by the insurance company that the coverage had been canceled, they were also told that the policy's balance had been depleted. Although there's no documentation as to where these funds went, the only reasonable implication is that the party received the policy balance, which was in the thousands of dollars, and inappropriately retained it. Ultimately, the owners had to pay significant amounts to activate a new insurance policy on the building. These actions are highly questionable and should be beneath the party chair. Further, the Karamo administration has recently promoted a plan whereby the Michigan Republican Party would force the use of the former headquarters on Sycamore Street in Lansing as collateral to pay off the $509,000 in debt the party owes on a line of credit with Comerica Bank. As explained above, however, the former headquarters is owned by Seymour Street LLC, whose sole member is the Michigan Republican Party Trust. And for a decade, the internal corporate governance of Seymour Street LLC and the Michigan Republican Party Trust has required a resolution from the trust before the former headquarters property could be used as collateral. An affidavit was recorded on October 27, 2011, providing public notice on this requirement. The trust has not issued a resolution that would allow the property to be used as collateral, so any attempt to use that property as collateral is invalid. Nevertheless, the party is apparently arguing that a party official in the past listed the former headquarters as an asset in connection with a line of credit. That listing, however, has no legal significance. For a person to use the property as collateral for financing, that person must first have legal authority to do so. Okay. The party's meritless attempt to use the former headquarters as collateral for its debt is a last-ditch, desperate effort to compensate for a failed fundraising plan to pay for even basic party operations. So, as you can see over and over and over again, this is mainly about money. The other thing it is about, and I'm going to skip this because of time's sake, I have so much more to share with you, is that this right here. So this came from Laura Loomer. She exposed it, and these individuals believe Laura Loomer. Finally, and perhaps the most troubling fact of all, Ms. Karamo currently serves as the president of an out-of-state organization that admittedly supports Democratic candidates. Unauthorized is a Nevada domestic nonprofit corporation that was formed on April 5th, 2023. Since its formation, Ms. Karamo has served as the president of Unauthorized, a fact that has been confirmed within the last month by its executive director, Matt Meck. And we have more on this. Unauthorized is admittedly a nonpartisan organization that in part supports either Democrats or Republicans who apparently this organization believes are dedicated to upholding the principles of the Constitution. Mr. Meck has explicitly stated that the organization does not see Republican versus Democrat, but rather sanity versus insanity. So they are completely open to supporting Democratic candidates. In fact, Mr. Meck admits to coordinating with one of the then Democratic presidential candidates, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and even openly states that they are seeking grassroots Democrats to join Unauthorized board. The Democrats aren't our enemy, guys. Like, Republicans aren't the enemy, Democrats aren't the enemy. We need to wake up. The real enemy is the establishment versus the anti-establishment. That's really the battle that's going on, because there are Democrats that want freedom, UN Democrats against UN Agenda 21.com. There are Republicans that want freedom. So Grassroots Democrats are not necessarily the enemy. It is, again, the establishment. Now, don't get me wrong. I will say that I have a lot more Republican friends than Democrat friends because Republicans allow for a difference of opinion, whereas majority of Democrats won't. If you disagree with them, they don't want to be your friend. That's just my own personal experience. So there is a difference there, but I still have met Democrats that are anti-establishment that are willing to be friends with me. So they are out there. It cannot be stated strongly enough that Ms. Karamo's outside activity serving as president of an organization that actively assists and supports Democratic candidates while simultaneously serving as the chair of the Michigan Republican Party presents an inherent conflict of interest that, at the very least, Ms. Karamo should have disclosed the conflict and any amount she is paid for serving in that position and then sought permission from the state committee. More importantly, however, any outside activity for an organization that actively supports and consults with Democratic candidates to help those candidates get elected should automatically disqualify Ms. Karamo from serving as a chair of the Republican Party. I could see that. In the past, a party chair may have made a contribution to a Democratic candidate years before becoming chair, but never has a sitting chair of the Michigan Republican Party been involved with ongoing activity supporting Democrats. In fact, in the past, Michigan Republican Party required all employees and many volunteers to sign conflict of interest forms stating they don't have any conflicts, which included any activity supporting Democrats. Indeed, if an employee of the party was involved with an organization actively supporting Democratic candidates, that employee would have been terminated immediately. If Ms. Karamo truly believes in supporting both Democratic and Republican candidates, that's her prerogative. But simultaneously serving as the chair of the Michigan Republican Party and secretly leading an organization that actively supports Democratic candidates is shockingly improper and frankly insulting. So again, you come down here, you have bank statements, and then if this loads, this is some legal documents, which is not going to load. All right. So how did this all begin? This all began last year in February when history in the making happened. Kristina Karamo and Melinda Pago win Michigan GOP chair and co-chair race. Now this goes on to say that the state convention took place on February 17th and 18th for the purpose of statewide precinct delegates to elect new leadership in the Michigan GOP. The event was held at the Lansing Center in downtown Lansing, beginning Friday evening in the congressional district conventions. Saturday made way for the battle of top positions, and after 11 grueling hours, the Michigan precinct delegates chose who would lead the Michigan GOP. Karamo's volunteers on the floor had noticeably more passion, energy, and actual precinct lanyards than other candidates, and noticeably less signs, emails, and text blasts. One thing was clear: other candidates may have had more money and endorsements, but Karamo had the hearts of the delegates. All 3 rounds of voting, they increased their lead, ultimately winning 58% to 42% against DePerno Sodano. It was a landslide victory, which again, these were the individuals that Trump endorsed. So Trump endorsed Kristina Karamo for the Secretary of State position here in Michigan, but he did not endorse her for the chair position. And maybe he knew that she wouldn't get any funding because she wants to tell the truth. As you may know, Kristina Karamo and Melinda Pago, our current chair of the Michigan Republican Party, were enthusiastically endorsed by the Muskegon County Republican Executive Committee, as well as many other counties, for chair and co-chair. Karamo captured the hearts of delegates. Ever since her run for SOS, her message for election integrity transitioned well into this race because many delegates felt the MRP did not do enough to fight back in 2020 election. Her message of party renewal includes combating election corruption, earning the trust and credibility with delegates, and beating the Democrats at their own game within the new election rules. She intends to ramp up outreach to previously ignored voters and expand avenues of fundraising. And I commend her for that, for trying to do that. Her voice cuts through the air in such a way when she speaks, everyone listens. And then there's Melinda. Now, Melinda right now is acting chair. So I'm going to get into Melinda really quick, and then we're going to go into the statements that came out on January 6th from Melinda, and the same day one came out from Kristina. So right now, that's the question. Who is actually in charge of the Michigan GOP? Is it Melinda Pago for now? She does not, from all reports, she does not want the position. She actually is just there until they can find someone who does. Now, there's two names. One of them is Hoekstra. I don't know if that's the individual that they plan or not, but what do you guys think of Hoekstra? He's done a lot for the Goshen movement, so I commend him for that. However, I don't know enough about him to know if he is a rhino or not. Baron, all this just lets us know Karamo is the one we want on the job. I agree with you. And again, I think that this sets a precedent not just for Michigan, but it's happening in other places. So I have a video. This might be a little bit longer than most videos, but I have the time today. On new state party. Oh, okay. So Melinda Pago, in her own right, has been a catalyst for change and inspiration to the state party. As vice chair and then chair of the Muskegon County Party, she and her team in Muskegon have made our county party into an example to encourage and strengthen surrounding counties in West Michigan and throughout the state. We went from an effectively dormant county party to one that is always on. Our regular events and trainings aren't just attended by volunteers in Muskegon, but by surrounding counties as well. Known for her insane work ethic, several of the chair candidates asked Pago to be their co-chair. Her wisdom to partner with Karamo and equally hardworking activism is going to bring dramatic change to our party. So, they had a lot of hopes here at the MuskegonGOP.com website when this first came out in February when they were first elected. This is just showing rebuilding. Okay. Now, some titles, some headlines here. Republicans vote to oust Karamo as state party chair. She does not recognize their authority. That's Detroit News. Kristina Karamo, elected chair of the Michigan Republican Party. This came out February 18th from the Detroit Free Press. Same individual that did the article on the 6th of this month. Come down here. Karamo defeated unsuccessful GOP Attorney General candidate Matt DePerno of Kalamazoo, a fellow election denier who was endorsed in the party chair race by Trump. Karamo had 58% of the vote on the final ballot. DePerno had 42%. We will not betray you. We will not lie to you, Karamo said in a brief victory speech as convention delegates were hustled out of the Lansing Center. The cash-strapped state party had only paid to rent the hall until late afternoon. So this is February 18th. She just got put in the cash-strapped party. I mean, I showed you the numbers, so we know. It wasn't her fault. She started out in the hole. Officials extended the arrangement until 8 p.m., but told delegates that they had to leave quickly after the ballot. Karamo was the first black chair of the state GOP. Black women now head both major parties in Michigan, with Lavora Barnes serving as chair of the Michigan Democratic Party. That, the mainstream media picks and chooses, as we all should know, because information war, it's not just about lying, it's about withholding information. But they go on and on and on about identity politics, and yet when it comes to Kristina Karamo, you never hear identity politics. It's just, I don't like identity politics, but you have to notice these things. They do, and they're not using it in this situation. They only use it when they want to. Karamo's election as chair signals the party leadership shift to nearly full alignment with Trump's Make America Great Again messaging. Many longtime party stalwarts stayed away from Saturday's convention, unhappy with the party's direction. Long considered an organizational and fundraising juggernaut, the Michigan Republican Party took a historic shellacking in the November election. I've never seen the word. I've never seen it written. Losing every statewide office and losing control of the Michigan Senate for the first time in 40 years. So dismal are the party's finances that delegates to the weekend's convention, in a historic first, were charged a convention entry fee. $50 if paid in advance, $75 at the door. Jeff Sakwa, an Oakland County businessman and former state GOP chair, stayed away from Saturday's convention and branded it the Super Bowl of election deniers. He said party performance and fundraising will continue to suffer by choosing a new party chair who wants to continue to relitigate the results of past elections. So the grassroots people know that something was fishy, okay? Something fishy happened during the last election. We wanted it just to be looked at. Why is it so wrong for people? And again, I don't vote. I didn't vote. Sorry. I did not vote for the Republican Party. No, I don't vote, okay? I have not voted. But I don't understand what is so wrong about wanting to verify the election results because you don't trust the system. If that's true, you should question the system, not the people that don't trust it. Let them have their investigation. What harm would it do if there was no cheating? Anyway, both Karamo and Duprino, I'm sorry, I keep butchering his name, blasted current party leadership and blamed the lack of state party support for the party's poor showing in November. Karamo drew enthusiastic applause when she said she has yet to concede her 2022 race for Michigan Secretary of State, citing unspecified and unsubstantiated fraudulent processes. Because we can't substantiate them. You won't let us. In calling for change, Karamo said the Michigan Republican Party operates like a political mafia, adding, "Our party is dying." Again, presidents are selected, not elected, because it's just been so corrupt, at least since Kennedy. I think maybe Kennedy was the last that was actually chosen, but I don't know. A bigger part of me thinks that he said he was going to do what they wanted, and then he didn't do what they wanted, and they killed him. So I don't know even Kennedy, to be honest, but it could be that we chose him, he didn't listen, and now we don't get to choose anymore. Will we ever know? Probably not. My bottom line is we don't choose any longer. These rich, elitist, self-anointed pricks choose for us because they know better and we're stupid, according to them. Karamo made election integrity, including greater restrictions on absentee balloting, a central thrust of her campaign for Secretary of State. At an Oakland County forum last month for candidates for state party chair, she said protecting children and families will also be a priority for her in that role. A video of Karamo speaking at a 2021 conference in Las Vegas with ties to the QAnon conspiracy movement that falsely asserts the government is run by a deep state cabal of Satan-worshipping diddlers shows her thanking former Nevada Secretary of State candidate Jim Marchant for creating the coalition. QAnon conspiracy movement? That is just to make her look bad, of course. So anytime that's said, I disregard it. Because it was said long before QAnon that there were diddlers in the Capitol and that they were satanic worshiping at that. But QAnon came along so that you could discredit the real and true things. I mean, it was somebody like a Speaker of the House in 2010, 2012, I should know, but there was a Speaker of the House that actually got sentenced, and he only got like 2 years of cushy jail sentence for repeatedly assaulting children. So they've been caught before, it's just you don't hear much about it because they're all in on it. Of course, we know Epstein, right? Epstein didn't kill himself. Is he even dead? We owe him so much because when I was first asked to be part of the coalition, he came here to Vegas and we sat in a room and we met and we talked, all of us coalition together, and we realized how well coordinated, how nefarious this agenda was to undermine the will of the American people. And we're seeing it right now. And again, it's happening in other places. South Carolina is one of them. During the race for Secretary of State, Karamo's campaign said she had never supported the conspiracy movement. Karamo, Duprino, and Greenlee, who had support among Republicans who predate the Trump era, were well ahead of the nearest challengers in the first round of voting. Make America godly again, the new MAGA. Amen. That's really what we need. We need values, and values come from God, something outside of man. Otherwise, we're doomed. DePerno, why do I want to put the R right after the P? I don't know. Rose to prominence by pursuing a lawsuit, which was ultimately dismissed, that transformed an error in the posting of unofficial county 2020 presidential election results into a conspiracy theory related to the integrity of voting equipment. Is currently under criminal investigation for allegedly orchestrating an effort to gain unauthorized access to voting machines in Michigan. How dare you try to look and see if there was cheating? DePerno did not take the stage to accept his nomination, instead showing a video that included Trump's endorsement message. I really don't like that. I already told you guys last year I went to the first ever Michigan GOP dinner, first ever political dinner I've ever been to, and I'm thankful for the experience because, I want to know how all this works. But one thing that bugged me, I brought it up before, I'm going to bring it up again and again probably. Molinar had a little staffer holding up a phone, and he had a little pre-recorded message that was held up to the microphone. Drives me crazy. To me, it's so disrespectful. This, don't send somebody to hold up a phone to the microphone. I don't know. Maybe I'm being oversensitive about it. You let me know. I don't like it. I do not like this. He did not take the stage, instead showed a video that included Trump's endorsement message. I don't know. People are busy, I get it, but it doesn't look good to me. But at a January candidate forum in Oakland County, he pledged to fix the party's financial woes by pursuing small donors and then high-level donors. And I'm not talking about the 20 or so families that have largely run the GOP in the past, he said in an apparent slap at Western Michigan's DeVos family, among others. Which is true. Again, if you have 20 families that pay all of the bills, there's conflict of interest there. I mean, there's manipulation possible, right? Whoever holds the purse strings, they want something done, it'll get done. If they don't want something done, then it won't get done. Now, if Kristina Karamo is not listening to them, not doing what they want, or they didn't even want her there in the first place because she's a crazy election denier, like we've already read, then they're going to do everything in their power to harm her cause. And if the grassroots picked her, then they're doing everything they can to harm the grassroots. Down here, the DeVos family should be thanked for their contributions, not mocked by silly would-be despots. That is from, I should go back, right? Dan Perro, a longtime Michigan Republican consultant who was campaign manager and chief of staff to former Michigan Governor John Engler, was vacationing in South America, oh how nice, on Saturday, and one of many longtime GOP stalwarts who stayed away from the convention. Again, must be nice. Take a vacation all the way to South America. Perro told the Free Press on Friday he stands behind recent comments he made in the Facebook exchange in which he defended the contributions of the DeVos family and Weiser to the state party and condemned the turn the party has taken in recent years. So Weiser was in those documents. Or is it Weezer? Weezer to me is Weezer, okay? So I'm saying Weiser. Kristina Karamo didn't want to work with these families. She wants to work with actual people, the actual voters. I commend her for that. It's just unfortunately we don't have a lot of money. It is wrong, he said, for those who have done nothing for the party over the last 40 years except support Trump, who Perro described as a sometimes Republican, to now declare who is a Republican. And those who follow them like rats seeking the cheese are nonsensical. Also nominated for the state party chair. Okay, I'm not going to get into all that. Come over here. This is Newsweek. Now, Michigan GOP descends into chaos. Came out January 7th. The Michigan GOP has descended into chaos and infighting following a contested vote to oust a Donald Trump-supporting election denier as its chair. You can see how they constantly label her. District 2 State Committee woman Bree Mogenberg said more than 88% of members present at the meeting on Saturday voted to remove Kristina Karamo from the position. Now, there's a lot going on with this individual. She's works, I believe, for Moms for Liberty as well, and some shady stuff is going on in her personal life, which I get that there's a difference between the personal life and the business life. You know, most people want a distinction, but when you are a Republican, part of that is being like Christian and family oriented, and so, you know, cheating allegedly is not really something that looks good from a Republican committee woman. But again, allegedly. According to the Associated Press, about 45 people were present at the meeting and Karamo did not attend. The former chairwoman had made it clear she would not recognize the vote as it was not official. I thought I had this. Okay. According to the bylaws of the Michigan Republican State Committee, seen by Newsweek, any officer may be removed with 75% of the committee present. The bylaws state the vote must be made in person by those members and not by proxy. To bring the question before the committee as to the removal of an officer, a petition requesting that such a vote be taken, bearing the signature of at least 50% of the entire committee, must be submitted. The bylaws also state no proxies are allowed, that the petition should be filed within the chair or their secretary if the petition concerns the chair's position. But Karamo, who was endorsed by Trump in her unsuccessful run for Michigan Secretary of State, said on Saturday on X, formerly Twitter, posted that she does not recognize the results. I think that's funny. Karamo, who was endorsed by Trump in her unsuccessful run for Michigan Secretary of State in 2022, but not for the position that she's in and being ousted. So, you know, why did they put that in there? They just want to make sure that never Trumpers know that this person is a Trumper. Like, they're trying to get everybody to hate on her. That's what I'm saying. She wrote, 37% of the Michigan GOP State Committee voting in an illegitimate meeting did not remove the chair of Michigan Party, me, today. The meeting was not an official meeting of the state committee. The uniparty-controlled media reporting the contrary means nothing. The January 13th special meeting will proceed as planned, and I hope to see all our members. Nothing will stop better political representation. An organized shadow party was held with the co-chair and a variety of people, including people who represented themselves to be the secretary of the party, the Michigan Republican Party told Newsweek. They had misappropriated credentials and used the logos and the name to run it as if it was official party business. They then tipped off the media to have the appearance of legitimacy to further divide and undermine Michigan Republican delegates' right to be represented at the state committee. Chair Karamo was elected by 2100 convention by a 2,100 convention of delegates who elected her over other candidates to be chair. So 45 people out of 2,100 said that we want Kristina Karamo out. That's what I'm getting. If I'm mistaken with that, please inform me, because I don't want to be wrong on that. But if I'm right on that, that's huge. Like, so what? 40 people said I don't like her and want her out, or 45. So it doesn't matter if 2,100 is the grand committee, you know, then out of 2,100 you need to have 75% of 2,100, right? All of these rules are very confusing, I will say, and I know it's by design because they don't want most people to dig into it, know about it, understand what the hell's going on. The removal attempt orchestrated by 40 individuals is not contemplated by the bylaws. After having the appropriate signatures to call the question, it contemplates a 45% vote of such members, not by proxy, which must be made in person. They interpreted a supermajority to overturn the delegates' choice from the convention of delegates. General Counsel Dan Hartman was present. He told them that they were what they were doing was illegal. So there was a lawyer present. He said, "You guys are doing something illegal." They continued forth anyway. Newsweek found that the Michigan Republican Party Facebook page denied Karamo had been removed from her position. The allegations that Chairwoman Karamo had been removed are categorically false. The post claimed an anti-grassroots faction had been part of a sinister plot to further fracture the Michigan Republican Party. I think that's what's going on, honestly. Newsweek has contacted Karamo for comment. When asked why she was set to attend an event organized by QAnon followers in Las Vegas in 2021, Karamo told Newsweek, "In America, people are free to believe whatever they want. My concern is to speak to all Americans about the importance of protecting the security of our elections." Drawing upon Michigan, the current Secretary of State has recently submitted rules that not only weaken our elections, but also disenfranchise low and middle income people who want to run for office. I am happy to speak to all Americans regarding the travesty occurring in the state of Michigan. Let's see. Michigan GOP committee plans meeting to remove Karamo. She says it's illegal. That came out what day? On the 2nd. So that was when people first were starting to hear that this the division has been going on for about 6 months, but them actually making moves came out at the beginning of this year to try to get her out of here. So I have a video to share with you. I thought I had a video to share. Let's put this headset on. Here it is. The press release on the 6th, a small fringe fraction of state committee members staged an illegitimate gathering to claim removal of Chairwoman Kristina Karamo. This is the lawyer. This is 6 minutes long. We're going to listen to what the lawyer has to say. This is the individual that was at the meeting on the 6th.
Hi, my name is Dan Hartman. I am still the general counsel for the Michigan Republican Party. Today's date is January 6th of 2024, and I'm a member of the Karamo administration. There was a vote taken today at a meeting. It was not an authorized special meeting. Our bylaws state in section 6 on page 14 under subsection B that when there is a request by 1/3 of the members for a special meeting, the chairman shall call it within 15 days after such written request has been filed with the chairman. There is no requirement for the meeting to occur. It has to be called. She complied with this bylaw requirement and she set a meeting for next weekend. An organized group of usurpers, which obviously are a minority portion of the party, approximately 45 people of the 107 attended a meeting, of which 40 voted to remove her. We're going to discuss that briefly. This meeting, as this special meeting, was not called in accordance with the bylaws, which gives the right of the chairman to set the time and the place. The majority of the state committee respected the time and place set by the chairman and is scheduled to attend the meeting next week, where the legitimate meeting to discuss these issues will be present. The second thing that you need to be aware of is that when you want to remove an officer, it begins in the process, and this is under section 4 on page 11, removal of officers under subsection G. It requires that you have signatures bearing at least 50% of the entire committee. This would be 54 signatures. 54 signatures were submitted allegedly at 1:49 to the secretary, who was not present, by email approximately maybe 15 minutes before the meeting started. So let's be clear here. When were those signatures obtained? It's been reported by 3 people who have repudiated their signature that their signature was misappropriated. It was obtained for a meeting that was to be called on December 27th, which did not occur. And it was never their intent for it to be used when their signature was obtained to be presented to call a meeting that began 15 minutes after, which they were not present. In fact, in speaking to some of the members who repudiated their request, they were appalled at what had occurred. One of their concerns was that their signature was obtained to bring this to resolution, and they were in support of the chair. They were not asking for removal. They just wanted the question to be called and the matter to be resolved. They wanted to be present, participate in debate, and discuss that. So how did this sham meeting that was unauthorized, which was not supported by signatures that were submitted to the secretary in time to be vetted, how was this called? How was this done? Well, there was an organized shadow party that was present with the co-chair and a variety of people, including people who represented themselves out to be the secretary of the party. They had misappropriated credentials. They had used the logos and the name to run this party, and they had tipped off the media to have the appearance of legitimacy to further divide and undermine your right to be represented at the state committee. Recall Chair Karamo was elected by a 2,100 convention of delegates selected her over other candidates to be the chair. The removal by the state committee by 40 members is not contemplated by the bylaws. After having the appropriate signatures to call the question, it contemplates 75% vote of such members, not by proxy. It says this, and such 75% of vote must be made in person by such members and not by proxy. So we're talking about the fact that how did they get a quorum? So in order to have a quorum, we allow proxies in Michigan, but proxies cannot vote for removal or amendments of the bylaws. How did they get the proxies there? We've received contact from many proxies who were not aware that a person was substituting for them who intend to be at the legitimate meeting next week. So what happened is district chairs appointed proxies and brought them in by the carload to make sure that the number exceeded 54 people. And then they interpreted a supermajority to overturn the delegates' will that was from the convention of delegates as a majority of the 45 people present. I was present. I told them what they were doing was illegal. I voted, and as a result, they claimed that they have removed the entire administration, amended the bylaws, and restructured this. 40 people from your state committee. Interestingly enough, the amendments require also that votes be made, and this is in Article 15 under Section C, made in person by such members and not by proxy. We had an illegal meeting. It was not a meeting of the state committee. It has no effect, and we're going to continue as we have been, and we will have a meeting next week where we'll address all these issues. Somebody has asked me, are we going to go to court? And the answer is no. This is an intra-party dispute. The court has no jurisdiction. The Heitmanis decision says that we have to resolve this amongst ourselves. There are state committee members that are not subject to the dispute. There are 67 people who are not present. There are some of you who are sitting on the fence and have not decided which way the wind will blow, and some of you are seeking additional offices. There are members who were clearly on behalf of Kristina who abstained by not attending. An abstention is considered a negative vote. 40 to 67 does not constitute a supermajority to thwart the will of the people. Kristina Karamo has received tremendous feedback from the delegates today who thank her for her job, and she will continue to fight for you. Remember, they have to remove her to affect you. Thank you for your time.
What was that? All right, so I'm going to show you, if I can find it, the two, okay. Laura Loomer. We're going to get into this. I'm going to show you some tweets. Proof of Michigan GOP Chairwoman Kristina Karamo, conspiracy to bankrupt top America First activists in Michigan. When did this come out? The 5th? Yesterday's contempt of court order against Michigan Republican Chairwoman Kristina Karamo resulted in the state committee being fined $500, setting the precedent for state committee members, influential volunteer activists from across Michigan, to be fined for Karamo's actions. Now, somewhere in here, I do have her original report about Kristina Karamo being a Democrat or working for a Democratic nonprofit organization that we've already seen. There are disputes about that. The state committee is directly named as a party to Karamo's lawsuit against the MRP Trust and Comerica Bank without their consent. The MRP Trust's motion to dismiss Karamo's junk lawsuit states, because plaintiff is an unincorporated voluntary association, sanctions must be awarded against each member of the Michigan Republican State Committee individually. So people are reading this, and there are a huge group of people, I'm going to take this off for just a minute, that really trust Laura Loomer. I really believe everything she says. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't. And I don't think you should either, but you, of course, think for yourself. If you like her, by all means, like her. But I think that she is actually working against the real grassroots people right now by doing what she's doing. Karamo's frivolous legal actions will put state committee members at risk of paying between $8,000 and $30,000 per person to pay off the debts she has incurred as chair. Her treachery is having a big monetary consequence for American First activists in Michigan. And so she shows this and I think these two pieces she might have gotten from the Warren report, because this is here. But you come down here, and this individual says there is, and I don't know who this is, by the way, but she is followed by Tudor Dixon, Justin Barclay, and two other people that I follow. Everything I've read, I agree with her take way more than Laura Loomer. So this is nothing close to receipts. This is a judgment by a left-wing lawyer on the left, and on the right, a picture of a lawsuit by the old establishment against Karamo. What they would like to see happen, not what will happen. You're deceiving your readers. Why do you think lawfare against someone by leftists and rhinos is proof of corruption when they are doing the same thing to President Trump? You can see the internal mistakes of the GOP is no way by accident. They're infiltrated by the deep state left. Laura, please, okay, report. Holy crap, I thought she was one of the good ones. So you could see people believe Laura Loomer, but, you know, what that individual just said, I think that's not receipts. She's right. Come down, and this individual's last name is Rothschild, so I don't like that. I'm going to be completely honest, but I'm going to read this comment. 1 minute, you are for MAGA. The next minute, you are an independent journalist fighting to go after Gretchen Whitmer's political enemies. Pick a side. The Gretchen's jolly group of woke Satanists will have Laura Loomer posters fighting corruption, ignoring the Democrats. Sad. So there are people on both sides. Let's see here. Kristina Karamo has officially accepted the resignation of Melinda Pago from her position as state co-chair. She is no longer affiliated with the Michigan GOP and has been removed from michigangop.org leadership webpage. And this individual, you are not serious people, Randy Guppy, said that. I heard that this is a lie. So again, do not trust this in particular, because we don't know what's going on. There's a lot of back and forth. But I wanted to show you this because allegedly she is resigning. But then you come here, and this might be why this rumor is going around. So the Michigan GOP District 9, Pago exposes herself this evening. She sent an email to all state committee members from her Muskegon GOP chair account claiming to be the acting chair of the Michigan GOP. Only a short time ago, she told her friend, Jenny Shepard Kelly, that she was resigning to enjoy kayaking and dog tonsil painting. Shepard Kelly doesn't like being lied to. The Michigan Republican delegates don't appreciate liars and traitors either. So allegedly, this is her saying, heads up, I'm going to come help paint Moxie's toenails tomorrow. This is a train wreck worse than ever could be imagined. Today, I don't even know what's happening tomorrow. I'm so underwater with candidates. This must be the Shepard Kelly individual. I'm so underwater with candidate recruiting and delegate recruiting. It's ridiculous. 105 open candidate positions in Ottawa. Gonna fill them with ours. Melinda, I'm resigning, joining the relaxing life of kayaking, and then it's cut off. This is all that I was able to find. So perhaps this is where that tweet is coming from. I don't know. A large percentage of people in politics are morally bankrupt dirtbags. This just came out 13 hours ago, or at least the tweet was 13 hours ago. This was very recent, though. And I think listening to Kristina Karamo is important to actually hear what comes out of her mouth. I tried to find stuff, by the way, from the co-chair, and she's not on camera a lot. I will say that. not near as much as Kristina Karamo.
And the way we clean up our republic is by being informed and engaged and making sure we have more decent and honest, everyday people running for public office. A large percentage of the people in politics are morally bankrupt dirtbags, and I stand by that statement. They're adulterers, liars, cheaters, thieves, and a list of other things in between. How do you think Jeffrey Epstein got away with his crimes as long as he did? Blackmail. Even in the state of Michigan, we had a Republican Speaker of the House who claimed to be Mr. Faith, Family, and Freedom. He just loved Jesus. But yet, at best, he was committing adultery with his little brother's wife. At worst, he was raping his little brother's wife. Yet he wants the public to believe he just loved Jesus. The reality is that these types of people are typically handpicked because they can be controlled and will do what they are told. And righteous Republicans are rejected because we're going to do what is right.
I think that's very true. I mean, obviously, politicians are it's either blackmail or the honeypot is another one, which I guess is still blackmail, because if you are married and then you bring in a honeypot, a beautiful Brazilian model, and get that Brazilian model to get you to do something naughty against your wife, you should cheat basically. Well, then it is blackmail in the end. You want your wife to find out? Kind of like The Firm. I just watched that the other day. The Firm. Ugh. They do that kind of stuff. It's very, power. Evil loves power. So in powerful position, evil will try to take hold. That's what we're up against. But I typed in Michigan GOP, and I just wanted to meet the new GOP chair, election denier who believes in demons. You see how they put her? I mean, all I did is type in GOP chair. Michigan's GOP, fight back against the state. Kristina Karamo says the party of the Constitution fears globalists, citing conspiracy theory. We're gonna watch this because this is excellent. What she says in this. Well, first I have to share this tab instead. I apologize. Second, I need to go over here and theater mode.
In terms of the party platform, what do you think makes a Republican in 2023 a Republican?
Well, in the platform, it says that we are the party of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the Constitution, the point of it is to restrain the government and maximize citizens' rights. Mm-hmm. And we have certain policy positions, like I am pro-life conception till natural death. That is part of our party platform. We are very much more, we are for, when we talk about America first.
Former Senate Majority Leader Mike Shirk.
Wow. Thanks, YouTube. Good job.
That our policies put the well-being of American citizens first, because as we see, our government is shipping billions of dollars overseas when we have people struggling in our country. It doesn't make any sense. My background is education. I remember once I made a video, I was infuriated. I worked for Big Brothers Big Sisters temporarily. I was like a contractor. And I went to teach at a high school, and the tile was falling off the ceiling. So I'm in Detroit. These kids are in the community where they have higher poverty rate, and I go into the school library. There's no books, and the tile is falling off the ceiling. Yet you guys have money to send overseas, but you're not taking care of people here in the city. This is ridiculous. We pay our tax dollars with the expectation that we're going to have a certain standard in our country. Mm-hmm. We don't have that. So that's what we're focused on. And we are focused on making sure that we protect the voice of the people. And that's one of the things you're seeing shift, because you're seeing some voices who are more libertarian kind of shifting and supporting more conservative leaning people. Mm-hmm. Like you think of, for example, with where there's talking about, the vaccine, people had questions, irrespective of what you think about it. That's not my point. Mm-hmm. But we have a right to ask questions of the people who are making decisions over our lives. And so what we're seeing a shift in the Republican Party is getting back to the Constitution. When you think of my freedom of speech, my right to petition my government for a redress of grievances, my freedom of religion, we're talking about those core principles that fundamentally are American. That irrespective of what you believe, we have to protect those core tenets to protect our freedom. Because I think people have this belief that America is always going to be America. we're always going to be the top dog. We're always going to be the land of the free. That's not true. We could lose this like any. You think the Romans or the Persians or the Mayans or any other civilization throughout history, did you think they believed that they just suddenly that was going to be it? They were going to be on top forever? Absolutely, they believe that. So
let's touch on that. What do you believe are the biggest threats that Michigan faces today?
This is why I love her right here. This is why I love her.
I have a deep concern with the encroachment of the World Economic Forum. That is a massive concern of mine.
Who else is talking about it? That's what I want to know. Who else in Michigan politics is actually pointing it out? I can't stress this enough. I was just telling my husband the other day, it's like, it drives me crazy. Detroit, Michigan is the first place in the United States to host the World Economic Forum, the advanced manufacturing facility. We paid $6 million taxpayer dollars. Michigan taxpayer dollars went to billionaires who could pay for it themselves if they want to infiltrate Michigan, because they love our resources, but we paid for it and they're here. And this is the only place in the United States that the World Economic Forum has a building, has a headquarters. Advanced manufacturing is another term for the fourth industrial revolution. So she is absolutely correct. And you come down here and somebody says, I think I commented, somebody says she doesn't, what is she even talking about? She doesn't, like, this doesn't have anything to do with Michigan, right? Greatly out of touch. She's saying a lot of words that don't have anything to do with Michigan residents. What are you talking about? Everything she's saying so far has everything to do with Michigan residents.
Their organization, they're very clear. They want to build a global power.
Oh, I want to get that off of her face.
And
okay.
You know, when you just think of logistics, one of the things we're big about is local control. Yeah. So we're really trying to empower the local person. And what do I mean by that? We want you to be deeply connected within your city. Because when you're deeply connected within your city, that is what flows out of that, is that you have more control in the county. Now you have more control of your representatives. But if we're taking massive power influence from some guy in Germany, I mean, what connection do I have to him? If I have a complaint, I'm going to write Klaus Schwab a letter? Like, no, I have no mechanism to have my voice heard. This is why local control is so important. And when I see this organization, and I've read their writings, they had an article where they talk about doing away with private property. You know, that is a problem. My rights to property, my rights to person are very, very critical to my liberty. And so when you have this company moving to shifting, they want to shift power to some global governance. That is not okay.
Do you see that as their end game?
If read their writing. That's the thing.
Just read what they say.
Every person. We all judge. You know, sometimes we hear people say, don't judge. We all judge. That statement in itself is a judgment. I judge by the fruit of the tree. That's it. It's all I look at is the fruit of the tree. And when I read their writings and the direction they're going in, it's more authoritarian. And that is concerning, that you have a global organization wanting to move our state into an authoritarian direction. So those are the things that concern me. What also concerns me, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 37. And it's like my generation left.
Yeah.
My generation left.
The brain drain.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. My generation left the state. And that has such an impact beyond what people believe. When we talk about protecting the family, right? Think of protecting the mom, the dad, and the children, right? That nucleus that a child needs. But what about at the other spectrum of life? What about as people get older? Who looks after the seniors? Their children. How can they do that if they live in Arizona? Yeah. And those.
She does not dance around the issue, says Carla. You are absolutely right. She doesn't. That is why I really do want to meet her, because when you meet somebody, you know, we're energy, right? And so you can feel another person's energy. And I would like to meet this individual to see, you know, is she real? Because everything I see on these videos, these interviews, you know, Kristina Karamo fears globalists, citing conspiracy theory. They all talk crap about her, but if you actually listen to what she says, she's right on point. And so I've been a fan since I heard about her. And to me, thinking that she is a World Economic Forum plant is like, how? And again, the World Economic Forum doesn't want you to really talk about them or know that they're here in a big way in Michigan. But getting to what she's saying right here, she's absolutely correct when it comes to the elderly. Here in Michigan, by next year, 2025, we are going to be short 200,000 elderly care workers. Well, I'm like, it's not palliative care here in the United States, but in nursing homes, shortages. And what happens when there are shortages? People get stressed out when they have too much to do. And what happens when people are stressed out? They do things that they shouldn't do, that they normally wouldn't do if they weren't so stressed out because of lack of bodies, a lack of help. So then what happens is abuse. Now, it could just be neglect, actually, but that's still a form of abuse. Really something that every state's going to have to worry about in these next couple of years, but Michigan in particular, I read an article, 200,000 is the shortage that is expected by next year. So her talking about all the millennials leaving, who's going to take care of the boomers that are getting older? It is a huge problem and concern.
Kids, those grandkids, they need their grandparents. How can they do that if they're 4 states away? Mm-hmm. So the economic condition of Michigan is faltering, but then our governor is turning to CCP-owned companies and the World Economic Forum to revitalize our economy.
Sorry, just getting that out of the way.
Groups, they are diametrically opposed to our Constitution. So when you're turning to a group like the World Economic Forum, or you're turning to companies who are tied to the Communist Chinese Party, it's not China. I want to be clear. It's not China. It's not the Chinese people. It's the Chinese Communist Party. And when you are tying to these groups to revitalize our state, that means we're beholden to them. That means they control us. And then that means that we, the people, don't have control over our government. And that is my big concern.
Former Senator,
and that's why she's being attacked. That's what I think.
Talked about the World Economic Forum, and he talked about his fear of one world government, one world currency, one world religion. So this is a fear that you also share.
Well, yeah, you think about it as like the move to digital currency. There's a balance, right? There's a balance between you want to have the free markets and let the free markets flow. But what happens is what the World Economic Forum pushes is public-private partnership, where the government and corporations work together. And then the corporation is doing the bidding of the government. And the reason why that's dangerous is because the control over consumption and production are fundamental. We want to keep the control of consumption and production in the hands of the people. But when you have the public-private partnership, now the means of production and consumption, the control of that gets in the hands of the government. And we have to remember the government has the power of the gun. Because think about it. Ultimately, you and I can go and say we're going to do this and that. But if the police show up and arrest us, what do they have backing them? They have the power of arms.
Yeah.
And so that is a concern. So when you talk about the push for digital currency, I don't like that, because that means the government can monitor what you do. And you may say, well, I'm not going to do the wrong thing. Well, as history has shown us, what's considered right and wrong shifts. And what happens when you are viewed as being on the wrong side of a government opinion or issue? They can issue control over your life. So that is a major concern of centralized global governance plus a push for a digital currency. I believe protecting paper currency is vital to our freedom. Because again, I'm sure all of us here, I'm sure you're a law-abiding citizen. I'm sure you're not going out committing crimes and doing things that are wrong. But what happens if our government shifts and what their agenda is, and suddenly you're on the wrong side of that? History has shown us.
Yeah, I love what she says. I think that she's very articulate and intelligent, and she knows what the key issues are. And that's why the grassroots movements of Michigan picked her. And the fact that the establishment doesn't like her makes me love her even more. And I feel sorry for her in this attack that's happening, because it's very well orchestrated, as all media attacks are. So this one was another one 9 months ago. Let me see if I can find. I'll share a few more tweets here. So Kristina Karamo, this is Anna again. I don't know exactly who this is, but she's got good takes as far as I'm concerned. Kristina Karamo has been attacked by fake news as far right and pro-Trump, but then the Uniparty figured out that to remove her, they needed the votes of pro-Trump delegates. So they disguise themselves as MAGA and are seeding debunked intel to Trump people. Their plan: replace Karamo with a political consultant currently working for Peter Meyer campaign. And she shows this. Trump praises Michigan GOP's far-right new leader. Nice work, you're convincing me, says this individual who at first was very much against what this individual was saying and was for getting Kristina Karamo out. So lots of confusion. This is Craig Mauger. The Michigan GOP is now considering attempting to move the power to nominate Republican candidates away from primary elections, where voters decide, and to precinct delegates. It's unclear how this idea complies with Michigan law. So this is showing better political representation, January 13th motion. I make a motion to empower the precinct delegates of Michigan to provide better political representation to their communities and nominate, elect vetted Republicans from county, district, and state caucuses to choose candidates for all partisan positions, excluding precinct delegate and POTUS, which shall be the Republican nominee on the ballot for the November general election. Freedom of association guarantees the right for the Michigan Republican Party to select its candidates and create its processes, subject only to Republican National Committee rules. The Republican National Committee has not adopted rules for the selection of candidates except those of the U.S. President and Vice President, so the Michigan Republican Party is free to select candidates in any way the party determines. The Policy Committee will be empowered to develop the final and binding caucus rules with the following requirements. Caucus rules to be written and passed and published by the Policy Committee by Monday, February 12th, 2024. All duly elected delegates from the most recent primary or elevated delegates shall be given notice and sent invites to the county caucus. There shall be a fee structure implemented for all positions. Races within a county, all fees go to the county party. Races covering multiple counties, fees apportioned to county parties except U.S. House of Representative candidates, fees go to the respective U.S. Congressional District Party. Each county will elect all partisan positions within the county. Each county will be able to nominate one nominee for any position that crosses multiple county lines to be elected. Well, people that know more about the political process than I'm sharing information, and this might actually mean more to you than it does to me. Patrick Kolbeck says, for everyone wondering what is going on at the Michigan GOP, it is reminiscent of the Empire Strikes Back. When Chair Kristina Karamo was elected as our first grassroots chair, the uniparty godfathers that had previously controlled who gets elected sought to undermine her administration in a variety of ways. For example, while withholding access to key assets such as donor lists, they push narrative that she can't raise money in the media. All because they demand control of policy direction of state. Attorney Dan Hartman explains the recent illegitimate meeting in the following video that falsely claims Kristina was removed from her position as chair by 40 members after 2,100 members had voted her into that position. Those concerned with Kristina can make their voices legitimately heard at legitimately called January 13th meeting. If their concerns are truly supported by the majority of Michigan GOP, it will be reflected in the proceedings of January 13th meeting. So this meeting coming up, extremely important for the Republicans, and I hope that the truth comes out. I didn't show you this as I was reading it. So I don't know who Patrick Kolbeck is. It says author of the 2020 coup, What Happened, What Can We Do? So there you go, an author. But I think this take is correct. What's impressive is how powerful the dark side is in our own party. They, the KK haters, have complete control and access to the media. They are coordinated with the courts, or appear to be so. Maybe even the banks. Impressive. Most impressive. That was as deep as I could go. Libertarian Party Michigan had a serious factional dispute with a rogue group that tried to seize leadership. Contact me if you'd like some insight. So it's not the first time. The comments are just as enlightening half the time, as the original comment. Even if it's true that KK has been sabotaged, it seems to come with the territory. She proved herself incapable of communicating her side of the issue without sounding suspect and whiny. That is one of the reasons why we need a change in leadership to a man who can speak competently. Oh, really? I'm sorry. I think she speaks very well. So I disagree with that guy. I know a lot of individuals, though, that do think that politics is a man's sport. Karamo has been sabotaged by fake MAGA from the outset. The moment she won, the vultures moved in. The previous admin, led by Ron, World Economic Forum, Wiser. Oh, see? I found it, and then I found so many things. Look at that. Ron Weiser, World Economic Forum. He left the cupboard bare and withheld all the lists and the infrastructure. Now I want to go in to see exactly how he's connected. I'm going to do that. I'll get back to you in a later video. She had been embattled since the start. The swamp hates her. Thank you, Pepe. If that is true, then I love her. There are a lot of liberals and progressives in the Republican Party leadership in general. I think we all get excited at the idea of Republican leadership getting ousted, but we do need to remember to learn the rest of the story before getting excited. I'm going to assume that Laura Loomer, like so many of the rest of us, just piled on because a Republican leader got ousted, and that she isn't really trying to get true constitutional conservatives removed from office. Or perhaps Laura can enlighten us exactly why she and the rest of us should be excited to see why Kristina Karamo, a reportedly election denier that presumably believes Trump was robbed, removed from office. Laura Loomer. So, real quick, I first heard about Laura Loomer when she went on the first ever Zero Hedge live debate. Because if you've been here any length of time, you know I love Zero Hedge, financial publication. I think they have a lot of good stories, and now they're doing live streams. They just had one on January 6th as well. I recorded the entire thing because I wasn't able to watch it live. But yeah, I really like what they're doing over there. So, Laura Loomer was up against... I have it here. Sorry. Too much stuff. She was up against a libertarian on the issue of Israel. Here we are. Welcome to the first ever Zero Hedge debate where Laura Loomer went against Dave Smith, and they clashed over the Israel-Palestine conflict. Top comment, I like Sam Tripoli from the Tinfoil Hat podcast, and he's a comedian. You can't really debate with someone like Laura Loomer, who just regurgitates propaganda talking points. Dave is winning, and he's not even allowed to talk. After I seen this, I did not like Laura Loomer. I felt like she is a pawn. She's another pawn for very powerful individuals. And so I suggest you watch that debate yourself. It is excellent. I will have it in the Substack post. Here we are. So, Laura Loomer, this was December 28th, 2023. So this was in the Warren Report. This is where they got this information. Following my report today, 8 GOP district chairs in Michigan have cited my reporting on the fact that Michigan GOP Chairwoman Kristina Karamo is still listed as the president of Unauthorized, an organization that helps Democrats get elected, and sent a letter to GOP Chairwoman Kristina Karamo asking for her resignation. So that really started heating up in December. But again, I saw stuff from, I think it was July, August timeframe, where the chair and the co-chair were not getting along. So it's been a contentious issue. Again, it is difficult when you're trying to raise money and you can't because you're being hamstrung. But whose fault is it? Not that victim. I don't like that. Anyway, because they used you, this is Anna, they fed you the same debunked info they made up in their plot to remove Karamo and install Scott Greenlee, political consultant for Trump impeacher Peter Meyer, and formerly for McCain. If that comes to pass, it will be on you. So we're going to listen to this. I haven't listened to it yet.
Warren lined up to replace Karamo. And guess who it is? Scott Greenlee. Yes, Scott Greenlee, the guy who ran for chair from the beginning of the story, who wasn't America First enough to get elected in the first place. Remember?
I'm called establishment. I get called a rhino. That's even worse.
Now he makes his pitch to this renegade faction that he should be the choice of the renegade faction. And he cuts quickly to the chase.
Involved. I think I could probably raise $500,000 in the first week, a couple million by the end of the year, 5 by March, and salvage the cycle with about 10 million in total fundraising. And certainly we'd have the challenge that some people wouldn't like necessarily everyone who's donating to the party. But I would welcome any and all dollars, within reason. I mean, certainly if Hillary Clinton moved to Michigan and said she wanted to help, I'd be a little suspicious. But short of that, if people want to help this party rebuild, they're going to get an open door, not a closed door.
Some donors won't come back, Greenlee says. It's going to be a hard sales job to go to people who've been demonized. Of course, I'll include grassroots, but we all got to play nice together. Warren interrupts him.
Hey, Scott, I had a question sent to me. Hey, how can you assure us that John Yob will not be running the party?
John Yob is a powerful political consultant in Michigan. He's been around. A political director for the John McCain campaign, symbol of the hated establishment.
Because I'll be the chairman. I mean,
real questions, man. This is
Hey, Scott, this John. That would be a real question. You have a hard time identifying what is grassroots and stuff like that. But that is a legit question.
Sure. So John and I have worked together. John and I have worked against each other. But unless you guys are electing John Yob as chair, he's not running the party. I guarantee that. I'll take his input when it makes sense. That's for sure. I don't want to close anybody out. I don't want to manage by exclusion. I think we need everybody pushing in the same direction. But I will make the decisions the chairman needs to make, and you elect me, and I'll be running the party.
So I guess we have to see. Again, I heard that Pete Hoekstra is also looking at the position, eyeing the position. I've heard Pete Hoekstra called a rhino, and I've heard people like him, so I'm not exactly sure. I haven't done the research on him. We need a fact check. Let's see. Putting daylight on rhinos. Like, who's the rhino? We live in a time of deception, and so we need to look at all the information and trust our gut. And to me, when everything is so coordinated and attacking her and trying to get her out of there, that is one of the key pieces. So there's a lot of Laura Loomer lovers. Say that 5 times fast. Oh, this might be the same thing, yeah. Let's see. Peter is a candidate worth investing in. May God bless your new year as we move forward to a brighter future. Scott Greenland, advisor for Meyer. Woke up to 2 releases. This was on the 7th of January, and I'll have the picture of these in the Substack as well. But this is just showcasing that there are 2 people acting as the chair right now until the 13th when we figure out exactly what's going on. This is this is not Kristina Karamo. This is a statement from acting chairwoman Pago. The Michigan Republican State Committee, including former General Counsel Daniel Hartman, convened today to discuss previously requested issues, including transparency and accountability regarding party leadership. Petitions with the required signatures requesting the meeting and vote to remove former Chairwoman Kristina Karamo and former General Counsel were submitted accordingly and pursuant to the Michigan Republican State Committee bylaws before the vote was taken and passed with over the needed threshold. Melinda Pago is now the acting chair of the Michigan Republican State Committee. The Michigan Republican Committee remains steadfast in its commitment to operate with the highest integrity and ethics. For me, this is not a happy day, it is a somber day. However, the bylaws process and rules were followed. Now is the time to unify Republicans and grow our voter base to win elections throughout the state. This is obviously not unifying whatsoever. You should just support who the grassroots picked. That is unifying. The establishment has declared war, basically, by trying to take out the person that we, the people, wanted in. Good morning, precinct delegates. Melinda Pago is perpetrating a fraud. She is in no way the acting Michigan GOP chairwoman. My administration is taking the appropriate action to hold her and the other co-conspirators accountable for the illegal actions taken at the gathering. They will be dealt with swiftly and accordingly based on the rules of the Michigan GOP bylaws. In Liberty, Kristina Karamo, chairwoman, Michigan Republican Party. I had the websites somewhere around here to show them back to back. And now, of course, I have too many things up. So this is the new GOP website right here, okay? Michigan-GOP.org. I don't want to accept your cookies. Michigan is the future of America. This is their new website. Interim chair, Melinda. And then her little thing. So I'm just showing you that. And then, of course, if you just go to michigangop.org, whoops. That's the official site. And it says press release January 6th, small fringe faction. So this is Kristina Karamo, and this is still the official site, but they've even made up a whole new website. So, yeah, division for sure. I'm going to share the rest of these tweets that I wanted to share, and then I'm going to get into another video. Jonathan Oosting, Michigan Republican consultant Scott Greenlee, confirms he's no longer interested in replacing Kristina Karamo as the state party chair, should critics oust her. I'm pretty bullish on Pete Hoekstra, he tells me, referencing the former congressman and Trump-appointed ambassador. So I guess Pete is not supposed to be a rhino if he's Trump-appointed. But, I mean, is it possible that Trump-appointed people are rhinos? I don't know. Scott is exactly the same as Karamo, a giant loser. He led the opposition to cannabis legalization, and we beat him like a drum on election day. Why would the Michigan GOP elect one loser to replace another? Pete the Rhino will fix everything. So there you go. Who knows what the heck is going on? This individual, the professor's record, David K. Clements. I am a supporter of the courage at Laura Loomer routinely shows and for her loyalty to 45. But I know the election integrity landscape as well as anyone, and no state GOP has done more to fight the rhino establishment than Kristina Karamo. She has been maligned, undermined, and fought tooth and nail against saboteurs, many of which, unfortunately, have the ear of 45. She was a top-notch candidate for SOS against Jocelyn Benson, and when running against Matt DePerno, for the state chairmanship, who was also considered a strong election integrity advocate, the grassroots Republicans overwhelmingly chose Karamo to lead the party. Now, I've seen, and this is why I really don't like identity politics, I've seen that the only reason why Kristina Karamo was in was because of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. As if Republicans are into that kind of thing. I've not met one. They're all against it. Because every Republican that I know, you judge people by the merits, by things that can change, not by things you can't. And so this is one of those things where she got voted in for her merit because people like her. And now she only got in because she's black. She only got in because she's a black woman. And that is why it's detrimental to black women. Affirmative action and all these other things that they do is because now some people can say the only reason she got in is because she's black. And I don't like that. I've always said that too, is if I got hired because I'm a woman to meet some quota, I would not like that whatsoever. It's not because I'm the most qualified for the job. It's because of something I was born with. I can't change. And so What merit is there in that? It really bothers me when, yeah. It gets used both ways. I do not like DEI. It needs to DIE. She has been one of the most vocal state leaders in eliminating the rigged elections, election machines. Getting back to this tweet. It's difficult seeing two fighters I respect go at it, but the grassroots took over the Michigan GOP, and that's a great thing. The difficulty in fundraising stems from the establishment elites pulling their stakes because Karamo doesn't go along to get along. DM me and I'll put you in touch with a dozen sources in the middle of the Michigan GOP battle. I think that this is the correct take, and this guy likes Laura Loomer. So this just came out yesterday, dispelling the lies from former Michigan GOP chair. The spin is coming fast and furious from the camp of former Michigan Republican Chairwoman Kristina Karamo after she was lawfully removed from power on Saturday following my bombshell report about her. Democrat-affiliated dark money front and other corrupt activities she was involved in. So she's sticking with that. Karamo is a Democrat-affiliated dark money front. I think that there are dark money fronts going after her. I am setting the record straight and exposing Karamo's deceptions used to undermine the legitimacy of her removal. Myth: proxy votes were used to illegally remove Karamo from office. Fact: no proxies voted in the overwhelmingly 88% majority to remove Karamo from office. It was all duly elected state committee members who voted to remove Karamo, and proxies were barred from voting. Myth: the meeting was illegal because too few state committee members showed up to achieve a quorum defined as majority of the total membership of the committee represent in person or by proxy. Fact: the meeting achieved a quorum and became a lawful meeting. Where's the proof of that? You can't just say it, the meeting achieved it and became a lawful meeting. After the quorum was achieved, it took 75% vote of the committee present to remove Karamo. The committee members had 88%, far overshooting the 75% threshold, making it legal and appropriate. Myth: the meeting was unlawful because not enough signatures were gathered to call the meeting, and Karamo refused to recognize it. Fact: state committee members received signatures from at least 50% of the entire committee. Yeah, I'm not going to keep going with that. Come down here and see really quick. Will you please ask your source to provide to you the complete bylaws so we can all have the opportunity to read them in entirety? I think it would be helpful to everyone's understanding. I hate to be that person, but the GOP is as corrupt as the DNC. Kristina Karamo is demonstrating by her actions that she does not represent the interests of the people. The lies pervade, attempting to claim her removal from office was illegitimate are futile. Her actions have the look of just another power-hungry politician. Oh, yeah. So you can't think about maybe a coup? There was one comment that I was hoping to see, but it's lost. Right here, the Midwesterner says, Melinda Pago tells the Midwesterner she didn't resign. So, he says, she said, has gotten Rachel Maddow mocking us now. Rachel Maddow is a joke herself. I can't stand her, but she comes in and says, will the real Republican Party please stand up? You tell me, MSNBC's Rachel Maddow said, is there a Republican Party in a swing state, Michigan? Is there a Republican Party? Is there one or are there two? How do you tell the difference? This is how I got the website, by the way. If you put a dash between the Michigan and the GOP, michigan-org, you find yourself at a totally different Michigan Republican Party website, one that the chair is not Kristina Karamo, but rather this other person, a totally different person. Whenever the dueling .orgs undisputed is that on Saturday, whopping 89%, yeah. Kristina Karamo. We gotta help her out, I think.
look at this screen real quick before we go to an exclusive interview. We're brought to you in part by.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Thank you, Joe. I want to go to you first,
Yep.
Kristina. It seems as though.
Real quick, this came out 3 days ago, very recent.
So I don't know if it's the rhinos, the establishment, is it a uniparty, both some Republicans and Democrats, but they're trying to throw you out as the chair of the GOP in Michigan, are they not?
Yeah, these individuals, I mean, since I got elected, there's been this concerted effort to demonize me, smear my character, say all kind of awful things, accuse me of crimes. Now I'm being accused of being a Democrat, just all types of things to attempt to throw me out as chair. And it's because our team has still been standing. Reality is Michigan is one of the most corrupt states in the country. I mean, our Senate minority leader and our House minority leader, who are both Republicans, from the time I got elected, won't even talk to me. And that's because these individuals protect a corrupt political class that's been disenfranchising our state. What we saw in the wake of 2020 was so many Americans who saw the rigged election, who saw the COVID policies, who rose up and ran for the office of precinct delegate, and we took our party. We took our party because we are an America First party. And our goal is to provide better political representation to the people of Michigan. It's not that we're hostile to people who've been in politics for a long time, but what we're hostile to is corruption and dishonesty and deception. And so naturally, these individuals have gone so far to try to organize a gathering, a meeting where they will are illegally portraying themselves to be the Michigan Republican Party and trying to illegally remove not just me, but our attorney, who is a champion for election integrity. So that tells you what these people are all about.
Well, I'm getting communication as we're on the air here. And we have powerful people in key places that watch this show live, and they text me. And we got some people that are in your camp, both you, Joe, myself, you, Kristina, that are very concerned about what's happening to you, no doubt. But I'm being told right now we need to make the case that it's not just in Michigan, it's not just Kristina, but this is going on in South Carolina, Arkansas, Idaho, Georgia, Arizona, and Kansas, in addition to Michigan. Different states, same playbook. Do you want to comment on that, Kristina?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a group of us within the RNC who are state chairs, All America First chairs, who many of us ran for Secretary of State, like Mike Brown of Kansas, Dorothy Moon of Idaho. We ran for Secretary of State and we saw the issues within our own party, and then we wind up becoming chair. And as we have seen, it's the same playbook: chaos, disruption. One of my state chair buddies was actually him and his wife being stalked by a former chair. Literally, him and his wife were being stalked by a former chair. So this is the type of stuff they've been doing, disrupting our meetings, causing chaos, slandering us. It is the same playbook that you get those of us who become state chairs and we can't be corrupted. Why? Because we fear God and we love our country. We are the type of people who make the political class shiver. So to your point, it is not the only, Michigan isn't the only state. It's just they're trying to put my head on the chopping block at the moment. They're going to fail. They're going to fail, but they're going to just keep trying to harass our people. And one of the individuals who actually is instigating, this guy has a bench warrant out in California for a DUI. This individual literally said in an NPR interview, his job is to psychologically wear people out. So they're openly admitting that they're trying to wage psychological warfare on our delegates who just want to save the country, because these people are evil and they just want the party back. Their goal is to burn it down. And this is happening all over America, where they're just trying to throw out constitutionalists while they let the corrupt political class just sit in power and just, put our state down to the toilet.
Wow. Joe, I saw your article today on this at joehoff.com. Respond to all this, please.
I'm really impressed, first of all, by Kristina. She's really been a warrior for this, I believe, from the start. I was really, both Jim and I at the Gateway Pundit were really taken back by her. We knew that she was there working in Detroit on the election day. I believe she gave an affidavit after the election, saw wrongdoing there, was escorted out, I believe. But I mean, these were the kind of people that we were standing behind and followed her throughout the last few years. And she seems real solid in her effort to say, hey, let's clean up the election. And then to see this effort that's coming out of Michigan to get rid of her, I just felt like was way over the top. I have some individuals that I truly trust in the state, and they've shared with me some information that I just found appalling. And for me, it reminded me back, just like you're saying, Brandon, it reminded me back to the days after the 2020 election a couple things. One was just the massive amount of corruption in the state, and in the results that never should have been certified. And I've written about this in my books, as you know, on the steal. And the other thing was that I guess a number of these individuals that were working and said that they were politicians that were working in front of Rudy Giuliani. They invited him in. He comes in. He gives this presentation with all this evidence of wrongdoing. And I couldn't tell who was the Republicans and who was the Democrats. I remember watching that, just like, that guy's a Republican. He's treating Rudy Giuliani so disgracefully. I was so appalled by these guys that were running the state there. Now they've lost the Republican Party no longer runs the legislature there, is my understanding. But the other thing that came out after the election was the Senate came out with this report, and I remember reading it, and I said, and I'm sure I wrote about it, saying, this report reads like George Soros wrote it. This is coming from the Republican Senate after the 2020 election. I was like, I was appalled. I was like,
Uniparty
is running the Republican Party in Michigan. And so when I see this stuff recently coming out where they're targeting Kristina and others in the state, trying to get them removed. Here we are now, less than a year from the election. They haven't backed her. They've been harassing her since she got this opportunity to help the party and get, a service work essentially. And they're targeting her. They're trying to get rid of her. To me, it's just like, that doesn't make sense. There's something else going on here. And there's, and there's some evidence for that. So I just think, this thing that's set up now this weekend, this event that they're trying to encourage people to get rid of her, to replace her. It's appalling. It's nonsense. It reminds me of the
Thank you.
same
And I want to hear
people
from
that
Kristina.
were
Let's go.
writing that Soros-related, looked like authored report after the 2020 election coming from the Senate. There, it's terrible. So I think it's easy to stand behind Kristina right now. She's really impressive, and she's done a great job, as far as I know. And she should be praised and not attacked. And I'm appalled by the activities there.
Well, that's why I wanted to have you on, because I wanted you to say and speak up on this issue. And thank you for doing that. Kristina, before I let you guys go, because I got two more guests, including our live report from Israel tonight. What they're holding on Saturday is it's not even a legal meeting, is it, Kristina?
No, not at all. Our bylaws spell out clearly what we can and can't do at meetings. There's been no official process to remove anybody, myself. And they're trying to remove our attorney too, who's an election integrity stalwart. They've not legally conducted anything. There's been no legal process to remove anybody. There's been no legal process to change the bylaws. These individuals are trying to illegally conduct business as the Michigan Republican Party. It's completely illegal. Now, people can gather however they want. I don't have a right to tell people when and how they can gather. But when they try to portray themselves as conducting business as the Michigan Republican Party, that is not legal at all. And, to this point about that Senate report, if I may comment, that Senate report, what was included in there is Ed McBroom, who still is a senator from the Upper Peninsula, had in there that he wanted the Attorney General, Dana Nessel, who was a Marxist, to consider criminally investigating people who alleged fraud in the election. These are the Republicans in Michigan. So naturally, these people are going to dislike me, and we're going to keep fighting. We have a plan where we've been organizing people at the neighborhood level, training them on how to be independent political operatives, that we can take back our country county by county.
Do you have a website for that, Kristina?
Yeah, migop.org, migop.org. Check out our website, especially if you live in Michigan, sign up. And I have a lot more to say, to talk to other states about how to organize precinct by precinct. That's how we're going to save our country and stop them from stealing the 2024 election.
migop.org. Kristina, thank you.
So I like that she just called Dana Nessel a Marxist, because it's true. We have a lot of Marxists in our government, but let me know what you guys think. Do you like Kristina? Do you not? Again, I will have all of this in the Substack article and more, because I wasn't able to I have 5 other videos I was not able to get to. So I'm going to take all of the information I found and put it into a Substack, try to be as coherent as possible. It's going to take me a little while, so just look out for it. It will be out today, but not as fast as just linking the links in the description down below. So I think that the Substack is going to be really good once I get into a flow, because it's very easy to put pictures and everything else, a lot more information. And since this channel is all about sharing information, Substack definitely does better than that description box. So tomorrow I am going to be on Rumble exclusive, Rumble only. I'm going to talk about Maui again. There's new information that came out. I watched just a little bit of this interview from Hawaii Real Estate on YouTube, and wow, I could not believe what this individual was revealing that was talking to the Hawaii real estate guy. It's mind blowing. And 9/11 has to do with 9/11, which if you guys don't know, that's what first started getting me out of the Matrix. So the connection between 9/11 and Maui was mind blowing to me. So tomorrow, that's what we're going to do. It's going to be chill, talk about Maui and a few other things over on Rumble. Tonight, there is a Green Charter Township meeting. In fact, do not forget to go to EDRA or EDRA of Michigan to see what events are going on. Still keeping that up very nicely. So yes, Mundy Township Planning Commission's tonight, and I'm not even showing you it. There we go. And Green Charter Township monthly board meeting tonight from 6 to 8. I was going to try to make it, but it is snowing. We're supposed to get 9 inches, and my husband is an hour and a half south with the car. So if not this month, then next month I'm going to go and just try to ask some questions of the Green Charter Township, see if there's any updates with Goshen, and see how they're faring in their new positions, because none of them were in politics before. Now they are. So how does it feel? It would be a 4-month, right? Because it was October or November. Oh, time. Anyway, so probably not tonight because of the weather, but I will be going to Green Charter Township again and just asking questions nicely. I'm not the type that's going to try to get dirt or anything, do anything like that. Of course, I just want to go talk to the people and congratulate them actually in person, since I haven't, and just see how they're faring. So if they'll talk to me, they might not. They might consider me media, and so far they haven't talked to media, and that of course is their right. No big deal, but I'll be there to live stream and talk to anybody who will talk to me. But if you are close to Green Charter Township and can get there, please do, because I think it's important to continue showing up and speaking up. The Goshen thing, it's not over, but I think it's looking really good. We'll see. So thank you again. I hope that I shed some light. I will see you guys on tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over on Rumble. Thank you guys for watching, and stay safe, okay? If you're driving, it's our first real big snow of Michigan, so drive safe. Peace out, guys. I love you.